Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Um, Today I'm just wanting to talk about the 7 unexpected benefits of quitting alcohol. And maybe for some people they're not unexpected, maybe that's the wrong word to use, but there's so many benefits from quitting alcohol. I could probably put a list of, 30, 40, 50 together, but today I just want to talk about 7. And a few of them I think I've discussed before, but a few of them are kind of minor ones I wanted to put in, and just maybe they're things you haven't really thought about that for me, uh, was a big change. Um, so the first one I want to talk about is food tasting better. I mean, you can also add in there food slash getting your appetite back. When I was when I was kind of binge drinking, I mentioned before as well that I was kind of just a quintessential British binge drinker, to be honest. Never kind of woke up in the morning, reaching for a bottle or anything like that. But out at the weekend, and if it's a big match on during the week, something like that, I would reach for a beer, which was just a really really bad habit, and I didn't drink for 5 years, and then kind of tried to moderate again, fell back into bad habits, and then ended up back to square one. Well, yeah, back to square one with regards to the kind of binge drinking, and then I've quit again and alcohol free, thankfully, and off it for good. Uh, and with the food, with the binge drinking, I never really got a right appetite, and when I did eat, I didn't even really enjoy it, to be honest. Just I have friends out there that might be hungover or they might be drinking, and they just turn into food devouring machines. Takeaways, eating rubbish, loving the food, snacking, etc. But I just didn't. I just completely lost my appetite, and I would just rather have another beer, for example, than have some food. And I knew it used to annoy me, especially when I went back to kind of binge drinking again after a not for 5 years, nearly 5 years, because I knew how good food could be, and it used to be like a big part of my day, part of my holidays when I was alcohol free. And when I was, like, say, when I was drinking again, it just disappeared. And I think a couple of weeks in, you really just start getting your taste back, for me anyway. And I think it's just a huge benefit for me to just be able to have dinner at night and just really really enjoy it. I love the takeaways. I was just back from Italy and Spain on holiday, and I absolutely loved every meal. Because, like I say, the appetite's there every day. You wake up with your stomach's rumbling. You can't wait to have breakfast. It tastes great as well. You're not just kind of feeling like you're going to pass out or forcing something down for the sake of it. And you've never got that kind of hangover stomach that I used to have, where, if you're out at the weekend, even Monday, Tuesday, or kind of maybe skipping lunch, breakfast's a bit off as well. And, that was just a massive thing, that food will taste better and your appetite will come back. The second one is saving money, and it's not just saving money; it's the surprising amount of money that you'll save. With me, what had happened was, you're especially these days where everything's so expensive. It's just incredible how much you spend just going out, and a lot of it was just habitual. It's just something that you did. You didn't really think about it. Friday, you finish work, you've had a good week, and then you maybe off to the pub to meet your friends. You wake up on Saturday, and maybe Saturday, you always meet your friends as well. And it just became like a really, really bad habit. And you spend so much money, even if you're drinking at home now in Scotland. We have um drinking minimum drinking laws, which isn't great if you're if you like buying alcohol, and it's obviously there to meant for you to kind of stop buying, but it doesn't really stop people buying, in my opinion. They'll always find a way. And but like I say, it was the surprising amount of money at the end of every month. There's just money there, and there's more than you would actually imagine. And in my case, I just started researching how to invest, watching Warren Buffett videos, and set up a little broker's account. And, I wasn't putting in huge amounts every month, but like I say, you've got a decent amount of money there, because all that money that you don't spend on alcohol is there. And not only the money you don't spend on alcohol, but all the Ubers and the taxis and the pizza takeaways and the Uber Eats and Deliveroos that you get, all that money's left at the end of the month. And like I say, you can take that money and you can invest it, you can pay off your mortgage, and like I say, it just wasn't the unexpected benefit. Is just like I say, the amount of money that you actually have, and it just accumulates so fast. The third one was, and I guess a bit of vanity for everyone, is just how clear my skin got um, after a heavy weekend. You know, you can tell when people come into the office on a Monday or join a call who's been out of the weekend, who hasn't. And for me, you know, I'd get maybe a bit red skin, a bit blotchy and dry skin, and you know, on top of the bags under your eyes. But I think, you know, it was one of the reasons I actually quit alcohol. And I don't want to go too far off track. You know, was there is a bit of vanity when you get older. It's fine in your 20s, but I was fed up after I kind of started drinking again. How awful I looked on a Monday. Just looked awful. Bags under my eyes, and my skin just looked terrible. And I remember this time. I remember the first time I stopped drinking between 2017 and 2022. I remember looking in the mirror once, and it was a good 3, 4 months after I'd quit, and thinking, you know, like, I can't believe how much better I look. You know, no bags under my eyes, and the skin, like I say, it was just like in a different world. It was absolutely incredible. And I remember visiting a friend over in, he was working in Malaysia at the time. And the first thing he said was, I honestly can't believe how good you look. And like I say, it's not like, you know, I started a 7 step L'Oreal skincare regime or anything. I was just doing my usual, you know, in the shower, wash my hair, condition my hair, come out, put some Nivea moisturizer that costs, you know, £5, $5. That was pretty much it. Like I say, it's just you lose that dry skin and your eyes start getting colour in them, and your bags under your eyes go. And you know, if you've got a beard, your beard looks healthier, and you just have this glow about it. So maybe I should have called it the skin gets clearer. But I think your whole appearance in general on the outside um, is just an absolute game changer. The fourth one for me was the fact that the weekends felt twice as long. Um, it was just pretty incredible, to be honest, how long it would last. You've got so much time on your hands uh, to to just do stuff. And you know, normally I'd be up and my brain would just be solely focused on like, who am I meeting tonight? Where are we going? Is there any events on? Looking forward to that. But now I had so much time, and it's not until you're sitting there on a Sunday night where you realize, like, I can't believe how much I did, you know. And you know, it's just because, you know, you close your laptop maybe on Friday 4 o'clock, you've had a super productive week, and then you maybe go out for a dinner or something you maybe didn't do before because the money's not there. But you're like, you know, I've not spent anything this week on alcohol. Let's go out for a dinner, and then on Saturday you're up maybe 6, 7 o'clock. Maybe you slept till lunchtime before, and then again you're maybe, let's drive out to the countryside, let's go fishing, let's go climb hills or whatever like that. And then you come back and it's still only 3, 4 o'clock. You know what, let's go to the shop and get some food. Then you cook dinner and maybe go for a walk at night. And then it's the same again on Sunday. You've got the whole day, you're up 6, 7 o'clock maybe, and you know, let's go a drive to another city, for example, and have a day, or let's go uptown a day shopping. And you're maybe uptown, then you decide to jump in the bus to go somewhere else, or you go and meet friends where to watch some games or whatever. And you're just like, there's just so much time. You've got like, say, the whole day. And before that would have, the Sunday especially, you would have been probably dying in your bed. So like I say, the weekends feeling twice as long is a huge benefit. It's not until, like I say, you can't really imagine time, but you once you're in that moment, you kind of, like say, this is Sunday night, it normally hits, and you're just like, I can't believe how long and productive and fun that weekend was compared to normal. um, Another one is the becoming a better listener and a better friend. I think before, maybe it's just something that, you know, you don't generally normally meet your friends when you're after you've had a few beers and you're all putting the world to rights, and maybe had a few drinks and you've got opinions, and somebody says, "Oh, I think this," and you're like, "Oh no, well I think this," and you think that, you, like I say, you're putting the world to rights, as they say. And I just think I become such a better friend, and I think it's a lot to do with just you're in such a good positive mood and full of beans and energized that you're able to sit with people and really listen to them and also take them in. I just think it's a different mentality. I'd mentioned in previous videos, when you're on a sober holiday and you're going to museums and you might get a walking tour, you're so zoned in where you wouldn't be if you were kind of thinking of a beer. Where am I, what time we're going out tonight? I wouldn't mind a glass of wine. And it's the same with your friends. There's no rush. You're in a good mood. You're in a good headspace, and I just think you're more open to listening and being a good friend. And also, if your friends needing a favour, the amount of times I've helped friends move house, for example, on a Sunday morning, which I would never have done before, or maybe I would, but be hungover and couldn't be bothered doing it, and just volunteering to help out. Oh, don't worry, I'll pick you up maybe because I'll be up anyway. I can pick you up and take you there. No big deal. So, like I say, that becoming a better listener and friends is just a big one as well. The sixth one was about anxiety or hangxiety or whatever you want to call it. It's just I knew, like I say, is it an unexpected benefit? No, but I think how quickly the anxiety went away, or the fear, as we call it in Scotland, or maybe they call it across the UK as well, or other places. But that fear goes away so quickly, and it was only for me 48, 72 hours it kind of went. And it's not going to get rid of all your issues. There should be, a clear, separation here before kind of like maybe issues you've got on and issues that um, like issues with kind of just being anxiety as a result of the alcohol. But I found after 72 hours max that it was pretty much 99% gone, and I've not had any of it since. The only kind of anxiety I've had is proper anxiety, maybe when I wake up and I've got a job interview, or maybe you've got a doctor's appointment you need to get to, and it's nothing compared to what you'd have had before. Because the thought of maybe having a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment at 10 a.m. on a Monday, because that's the only time they had free. I'd have been thinking about it the whole weekend, like doom was impending, doom was coming. Whereas now, like I say, it's kind of maybe a bit, especially with job interviews, etc. If you're doing that or speaking to a client that's or whatever you do in your life, it's just that natural, I think, anxiety, which maybe gives you a little boost, makes you focus a bit more, um, and that's a huge one. So, like I say, I mean, it's probably one of the biggest benefits, and I'll make a separate video about it, is how fast that goes away and the impact it actually has on your life. And the seventh one is something I never really thought I would have, and that's how your self-respect grows. And I think that's a real big thing, and it won't grow straight away. But I think for me, when I was into about my sixth month, maybe that's by the time you've kind of saved up a few paychecks, you've maybe paid stuff off. And for some, it might be, a year down the line or a few years down the line. But, you've, by that time, you maybe lost a bit of weight that you'd gained, your diet's back on track, your fitness levels are right up because you maybe started walking or whether you do hill climbing or going to the gym. You're right in that routine now. For the past 6 months, your apartment or house has always been tidy. You're on top of your laundry. You're on top of your banking. You've maybe finished all the DIY in your house or your apartment that's been sitting there for years, and you do walk about, with a bit of pride now that you're kind of this super productive person, and that people can rely on, especially in your relationships. Now it's you might not have been asked to look after your nieces or nephews or your friends' kids before because they just probably thought nothing against you. They might have just thought, oh, they'll be out at the weekend, they won't care. But now, maybe you've popped round to theirs a few times and played with the kids, and maybe they've got animals as well, like a dog, and now they've offered you, oh, why don't, oh, we're planning to maybe go away. Can you maybe come over and look after the dog or look after the kids for an hour? Just you're this kind of responsible adult that you should be, and you've always wanted to be, and you've always thought you should be. So that self pride, it does come, and it is genuinely a great feeling knowing that, like I say, you're on top of everything and you're really productive. So that's the 7 unexpected benefits of quitting alcohol, the best decision I ever made, twice. So hope you enjoyed this video, and I'm releasing daily videos. So if you like this one, there's a playlist there, and please subscribe as well and like the video. It makes a big difference. All right, hope you have a lovely day. Bye now.